Most annuity cases don't fall apart in the appointment. They fall apart in the 48 hours after it. You hang up thinking it's a done deal. 3 days later, silence. No reply to your follow up, no call back, nothing. In this video, I'm going to show you why that happens and the AI tool that is quietly fixing it for the advisors that I work with. I've spent the last several years working with more than 1,900 advisors building out annuity practices. And the single most consistent pattern I see in producers who feel stuck is not what you'd think. It's not their appointment. It's not their product knowledge. It's the gap between the appointment and the close. So here's what we're going to cover. First, why the 48-hour window is the real kill zone for annuity cases, not the meeting itself. Second, why just checking in emails are silently sabotaging your production. And third, how a small group of advisors are using AI in the follow up window to close cases that used to ghost them, including one advisor who closed his first $1 million case using 15 minutes of AI leveraged work. If you're a strong closer who's leaving cases on the table after great appointments, this is going to change how you think about the second half of your sale. Think about your last appointment that felt like a home run. They had the assets. They were engaged. When you walked them through how you could strengthen their retirement plan, you could see the relief on their face. The spouse leaned in. They said something like, "This is exactly what we've been looking for." You hung up the call thinking, "That's closed." And then 48 hours later, nothing. You send the follow up, no response. You text, no response. You leave a voicemail, silence. 3 days, 4 days, a week. The case you were planning around in your forecasts just quietly disappears. You replay the appointment in your head. What did you miss? Is it the product? The price? Did the spouse get cold feet? You don't know, and you'll probably never know. That's where most annuity cases actually die. Not during the presentation, not because you couldn't explain the product. They die in the 48 hours after the call when the follow up doesn't carry the same structure or precision as the meeting itself. Here's the reframe. After working with more than 1,900 advisors, the pattern is unmistakable. Most producers treat follow up like a courtesy. The appointment feels like the real work. The recap is just staying in touch. But the follow up is not a courtesy. The follow up is the second half of your sale. The prospect leaves the appointment with momentum. Your job in the next 48 hours is to keep that momentum structured and moving forward. A generic, just checking in message doesn't do that. It signals that you've already moved on. They were unique to you in the meeting and generic to you in the inbox. They feel that and they pull back. Nobody taught us to treat the follow up as a closing tool. We were taught to treat it as a check in. That's the gap. So, if the follow up is half the sale, what does a real follow up look like? Let me show you the contrast. Imagine your prospect's inbox the morning after your appointment. In one version, they open your email. The subject line says, "Following up." The body reads, "Hey, John, great talking with you yesterday. Wanted to check in and see if you have any questions. Let me know when you'd like to move forward. Talk soon." In the other version, they open your email and the subject line references the exact concern they raised about market volatility going into retirement. The body summarizes the three priorities they told you mattered most in their own language, in the order they raised them. It addresses the hesitation their wife brought up about lifetime income. It quotes back the phrases they used about wanting to stop watching the market every morning. Same prospect, same product, same advisor, two completely different signals about whether you were really listening. Which advisor do you think gets the call back or the case? Here's where AI actually earns its keep. When you finish a Zoom appointment, you take the transcript and drop it into a tool built specifically for annuity conversations. The system reads the entire conversation, not just the obvious objections. It pulls out the things you would have missed. Number one, where hesitation crept in even when the prospect didn't say, "I'm hesitant." Number two, how they talked about risk, the phrases they use, the situations they reference. Number three, where the spouse seemed uncertain, what they specifically pushed back on, what they leaned into. Number four, the safety language that kept coming up, the exact words they used around income, guaranteed, running out, leaving something behind. Then it builds a recap that speaks their language instead of yours. That's the difference. Instead of guessing what to do and what to emphasize in your follow up, you see clearly what mattered most to them. You're not relying on what you remember from your call, you're working from what they actually said. And here's the part that matters most. The good advisors have always been doing this work. The serious ones would listen back to the recording after every appointment, sometimes twice, sometimes three times. They'd evolve their notes from what they caught the second time around that they missed the first. They build their case design from the prospect's exact language, not their memory of it. That's how the top producers in this business have actually always operated. But it costs them their nights and weekends. 2 or 3 listens of a 60-minute call, another hour piecing it all together into something usable. Most advisors couldn't afford that math on every prospect, so they sent the just checking in email and hope for the best. AI doesn't ask you to work harder. It collapses the cost of the work itself. What used to be 3 hours of re listening and note building now takes 90 seconds. The discipline that used to be reserved for the obsessive few is now affordable for every advisor. And this isn't AI replacing your judgment, it's AI giving your follow up the same structure your appointments already have. Now, this is all good sounding in theory, right? But let me tell you what it actually looks like when an advisor does it for real. I want to tell you about an advisor I work with named Matthew. Matthew was a sommelier in high end hospitality before he got licensed. He's been in the business now for just 3 years. When he started, he didn't even know what an IMO was. In September of last year, he got into a case with a prospect who was already talking to multiple other advisors. Competing advisors, veterans, people with 20 years on Matthew in this business, but Matthew did one thing differently. After every call with this prospect, he dropped the transcript into Annuity GPT and then used it to build a structured PDF summary. The summary was organized around the couple's specific concerns. It used their exact language about market volatility and income stability. It addressed the wife's hesitation in her own words, and it laid out the path forward in a way that made the decision feel obvious. Total time Matthew spent building those summaries across 5 or 6 calls? 15 minutes. He won the business. The prospect funded a $1 million annuity and later told Matthew the recap was what made the decision simple to go with him. That's not the only one. Another advisor I work with had a prospect who was so analytical he wouldn't commit to a Zoom call. Every answer led to another question. Instead of trying to out argue him, the advisor used AI to surface what the prospect was actually worried about, then crafted a message in a tone that didn't push him away. That message booked the follow up meeting. That meeting turned into a $300,000 annuity. Nothing about the products changed in either case. The follow up did. Now, I want to address something head on because there's a lot of noise around this. There's an entire industry right now selling advisors AI as a magic trick. Push a button, the machine writes your follow ups, book your appointments, close your cases. You just sit back and collect. Here's the truth, if that pitch were real, you'd be irrelevant. The carriers would just buy AI direct and skip you entirely. The reason the pitch isn't real is that the actual value you bring to a prospect, your judgment, your product knowledge, the way you read the room, doesn't get automated away. Most of what's being sold to advisors as AI right now is a shiny object designed to make money for the vendor, not for you. The version that actually moves production is narrow. It does one specific job inside a process you're already running. That's what we just walked through, and that's what Matthew is doing. Not magic, leverage. Here's the pattern across both cases, and across the dozens of advisors I watch do this. When the follow up carries the same structure as the appointment, more cases close. That's the whole insight. It's not about working harder in the 48-hour window. It's not about sending more emails or making more phone calls. The advisors who win in the follow up are not grinding harder, they're working smarter because the follow up is built from what the prospect actually said, not what the advisor remembers they said. And the second order effect is the one nobody talks about. When your follow up is precise, your reputation changes. Prospects refer you to their friends. Cases that used to take 3 appointments to close compress to 2. The compounding effect on your production over 12 months is significant. And here's the deeper truth in all of this. AI is not going to replace you anytime soon, but the advisors who master it absolutely will replace you. That's exactly what all of our advisors leveraging Annuity GPT are doing right now. So, if that's what's possible, the question is what to do with this. The appointment is only half of your sale. The other half happens in the 48 hours after, and most advisors are still winging it. If you want to see exactly how Annuity GPT fits into a complete sales system, including how we generate the leads, structure the appointment, and close the follow up, book a call with my team. We'll walk you through what this looks like for your specific practice and whether it's a fit. The link to do that is in the description. Now, if you're not ready to speak to my team yet, that's fine. The YouTube algorithm recommends you to continue by watching this next video right here on the screen. I'll see you on the other side.